Hello everyone! I've been noticing that I've been getting quite a few new subscribers, so first I just wanted to say welcome everybody and thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're a new subscriber and if you're an old subscriber, I really appreciate you guys' support of my channel. And yeah, so today's video, as you can tell from the title of the video, is my Goth ABCs Tag. And this kind of spawned off of the Goth A to Z video that Mumma Goth did with a bunch of other Gothic YouTubers. And I just thought it was a really cool idea. And so I talked to her and asked if it'd be okay for me to start it as a kind of tag thing to kind of open it up to where people could talk more specifically about what Goth means to them by using this like ABCs type thing. So everybody should have, well, some people will have similar ones, I'm sure, just because there are a lot of things that we all have in common. But I thought it'd be cool to see what people came up with and just be a unique way to get to know everybody individually. And so people that don't know about Goth or who are new to Goth or just are interested in knowing more about Goth or whatever could see like the different things and the variety that our subculture has. But yeah, so that's the purpose of this tag. And I'm just going to go ahead and say up front that it would be really cool if all the people who were in her video would do the tag, including her, and then just whoever else wants to do it. I just think it would be really interesting to see everybody's answers for all of the letters. Not to say that her video wasn't great, because it was pretty great, and especially that's such a large collab. I've never seen one that big. She did a great job, and everybody, like I said, who was in it did a really good job. But yeah, it'd just be interesting to know what they thought of for the other letters, so it'd be really cool if you guys would do it. Hopefully you'll see my video and do it. It would be really cool. But yeah, I'll just get started. So the structure is you just go A through Z and pick a word that you associate with that letter, like something you associate with the Gothic subculture or whatever. Okay, so I'll start with mine. So for the letter A, I picked architecture, and specifically Gothic architecture, of course. And it's obviously not necessarily part of the subculture, but I and other Goths that I know have a great appreciation for like Gothic arches and just Gothic architecture in general. It's just such a beautiful, lovely old style of building, and it's just really gorgeous. Yeah, so I have a huge appreciation for that. B would be for boots, for sure. Boots are important to pretty much all of my outfits, and I know that a lot of other Goth women feel this way, and probably men too.
B is for ball.
B is for ball. You're right, baby. It is B is for ball, you're right. But it also B is for boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I wish I had a whole closet full of boots. C would be corsets for me. It's always been part of Gothic fashion as far as I'm concerned, in like a variety of styles. So like traditional corset, historical fashion in Goth, and then also, you know, just like PVC ones and like canvas ones and all kinds of decorative ones and corset style tops. So not everybody has to wear them, of course, but I've always loved corsets and the shape that it gives. And so to me that's a big part of the fashion for the subculture. D, I picked the word death. To me, being Goth means that you have like an appreciation for death and just like finding beauty in death and like dead things. Now this isn't for everybody, of course. Some people are quite squeamish about the topic and don't like to discuss it, but I've always been fascinated by like morticians and morgues, and my dad used to work for a vault company. It's probably part of the reason why I have this like fascination. And then just like oddities, like I love collecting like dead things. Like I love skulls and bones, and I'm kind of growing my oddities collection right now. I have a rat skeleton, and then I have a bat in acrylic, and I don't know, all kinds of other stuff. So I actually preserved a bat myself, although I had to get rid of it. I'm really sad I had to get rid of him. But yeah, so dead things. E is for enamel pins. And this isn't really like a Gothic thing, but for me personally, I love collecting enamel pins and also buttons or badges, as some people might call them, just like the pressed buttons, and but mostly enamel pins. And so they're just good for, you know, collecting, of course, and then they look really good on like leather jackets or vests or bags or whatever you want to put them on. Anyways, there's a lot of really cool pins going around online for sale, and you can find a lot on Etsy or even on eBay or Amazon. And there's a really cool company, Demonic Pinfestation, and they do really cool ones, and they're like limited runs. So I really recommend checking that company out. You can find them on Instagram, which is what I just looked for their page on here. And yeah, so just look them up, check them out. They got really cool ones to purchase.
Can I look at my birthday stuff?
Not right now, I'm trying to film a video, babe. Okay, F, I picked film. So I'd say that film is an important part of the subculture. Just like it influences like the fashion and the culture, and mainly like cult classic films, specifically like Gothic cult classics. So a lot of goth people love, you know, like The Crow and The Craft and pretty much anything by Tim Burton. I picked Gothic Beauty magazine, and this used to be an in-print magazine. It would come out quarterly, and I really loved getting issues. Like I would go to the bookstore all the time and like see if there was a new one out, just because I was never really aware of like what month they were putting the issues out. But yeah, so it was quarterly, and I would always go check. 2 years ago, they stopped making print editions of the magazine, so everything's online now. You can go online, and there's some specific magazine site that you can use to view the magazine, and like articles on their website and stuff that are for free. But yeah, so definitely check it out if you haven't already heard of it and looked into it. You can probably still find old copies somewhere. But yeah, I have a pretty good collection, but I really was bummed out when they stopped doing prints, so it sucks. H, I picked happy. It's a common misconception that goths are like sad and mopey or whatever, but I would say that I'm a really happy goth. There are probably some goths, of course, just like everybody else, that are, you know, depressed and mopey or whatever. And I do have anxiety and depression sometimes, but I would say most of the time I'm pretty happy, and I think most goths are too. And then just like seeing things that are like dark or darkly inclined type things make me more happy, so yeah. For I picked inclusion, and I picked this because there's been a lot of controversy going around lately of people that say they're goth, and I don't know, they're just being like hateful little buttholes, and I hate it. Every time I see it, it makes me want to like punch them in the face. But people who are being like racist, saying that people of color can't be goth, and it's just that's total like bull, and yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so what I wanted to say, I'm gonna look back at this now instead of just ranting about it. So to me, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, your religion, your age, your gender identity, if you're able-bodied or not able-bodied, or anything else in those lines. Pretty much anything. It does not matter. You can be goth. If somebody says otherwise, then they can go suck, in my opinion. For J, I picked jammin'. And I picked that because I love listening to music. A big huge part of the subculture is music, and that includes not just regular like what you'd consider like goth music, but also metal and industrial music and punk and pretty much all kinds of just like rock. And I really like all kinds of music, so that's just like a huge part of my life in general. But yeah, so definitely as a goth though, I think, because that is kind of how the subculture spawned, was from the music, of course. So yeah, definitely music, but the word jammin'. K, I picked Kitty, which is the metal band Kitty, and I picked them for K because when I was a baby bat, both their music and their like style was like really influential to me. So like the way they dressed, I was just like, that's really cool. It was the early 2000s, so it was just like really like late 90s, early 2000s fashion. And just like real classic for the era goth. Like every goth I saw was wearing similar stuff to what they were wearing. But yeah, so that kind of thing. And then also that's just like back then they were like an all girl band, so it was just like real girl power and just really good music. And yeah, so that's why I picked K is for Kitty. L is for literature for me, gothic literature and literature in general, like horror and thriller, like traditional like Gothic literature, of course. I picked it could have been music, but I picked Mariluna instead. It's a Gothic festival that I've like really wanted to go to, and I'm hoping someday I will get to go to it. For in, I picked Nonconformity. I talked about Nonconformity in my Goth Snob tag, which I will link up here wherever it goes. And like I said in that video, to me, like a huge part of the Gothic subculture is just like being the nonconformist. Like, it shouldn't matter what other people think of you. You don't have to follow any specific trends. As a matter of fact, just do exactly what you want to do, and that to me is like the biggest part of the subculture. It always has been. But yeah, so to me that's a big thing. I picked occult. Not every goth is into the occult. I think they might have talked about this a little bit in Mumma Goth's video. Avelina Demore, she had something that was kind of like the occult. Maybe it was even occult. But anyway, so I've always loved reading about the occult. I'm drawn towards like a witchcraft path in a non-religious way, kind of. I just believe in like energy connectivity on the planet and like between people and all of this stuff, and then also like the power of like thought and ritual. So kind of in a LaVeyan Satanist kind of way. But yeah, so yeah, just this how ritual can like interact with your brain and like make you more susceptible to bringing things to fruition. But yeah, so kind of like that. That's why I use witchcraft. And then of course occult symbols have recently become really trendy in fashion, and I don't see any problem with it. Like I said in the Goth Snob tag video, I don't have any problem with it as long as you like kind of know what the symbol means, so you can explain it to people who don't know, just because you don't want any misconceptions going around. P, I did post-punk, which is a double P, and I picked that because, as we all know, punk spawned off the goth subculture, spawned from punk. The punk scene kind of bred like traditional like goth music, and yeah, so it's considered like post-punk subculture. And then like I love punk, some punk music, and then just like, I don't know, I have a lot of friends who were punk in high school, and I don't know, I try and like incorporate some of that like traditional punk stuff like in my everyday life and like wardrobe and stuff. So yeah, I really appreciate the punk culture too, and so yeah, I try and incorporate it, which is why I picked post-punk, because I think it's still important, at least to me, as part of my culture. For Q, picked quirky, and that's like strange and unusual, but also like cool as heck. So I don't know, I've always been quirky, and a lot of my friends are quirky, and I wouldn't say that they're necessarily goth, but I do think that a lot of goths are quirky, and we have special interests and stuff like that, of course. But yeah, so to me, goth is quirky, and I'm quirky. For R, I picked romantic, and I find that being goth kind of goes hand in hand with being romantic, and I think a lot of that has to do with our ability to like find beauty in things that others wouldn't normally find beauty in, and like situations like, I don't know, just finding the romanticism in other things that aren't normally considered like beautiful or romantic. So that's why I picked that word. S, I picked spikes. I love spikes. I would put them on everything. Jackets, bags, shoes, pretty much you name it, anything could have spikes on it. And I also really love using spikes in my DIY. So I have a vest that I was DIYing for a while with spikes on it. I plan on adding some to my leather jacket project that I've been working on. And yeah, so yeah, just anything. I love adding them to stuff. For T, I picked Tim Burton, and that's, well, I talked about him in the film letter, but also he does just like a lot of really good art, and I don't know if he describes himself as goth, but I really feel like heavily that he is. But yeah, so just his art style, and then his film style, and his imagery, and the aesthetic that he gives off in like his films and his art is definitely like goth to me. For you, I picked umbrella or parasol. I don't think I've ever had a proper parasol, but an umbrella works just as well, and I would say this is important because during summer it is really hot. And when you're wearing all black, you're just attracting all of the sunshine to you, and it makes you even hotter. And then me personally, as a like extremely pale person and somebody who, I don't know, I just burn very easily in the sun, so it's always good to have your own shade with you. So that's why I picked umbrella, just because I feel like that's important for anybody who's going to wear all black. Yeah. For V, I picked vampirefreaks.com, and some of you may know what it is. It's kind of, I don't know, dropped in popularity recently. It's not as active as it used to be, but when I was a baby bat, I was on there all the time talking to new people, making new friends, finding out about different stuff. That it is still active. You can get on there and make a profile. I have a profile still. It's just things like the cults, like they had groups. It's kind of like Facebook for Gothic people, in case you don't know what it is. But yeah, so they have what's called cults, and it's basically just groups like on Facebook. You can chat. It's better than the groups on Facebook, honestly, because it's forum style. But yeah, so they're not as active, but I do notice that there are still people that use their profiles and actually talk to people. I'm not on there as often now just because I'm pretty busy. But yeah, so it's there in case you didn't know about it. Go check it out. W, I picked Weva Gothic Treffen. Tell me if I'm saying that wrong, if there's anybody German watching this and I said that wrong. I took 5 years of German, but I'm still pretty piss poor at it, and my throat's sore right now. It's another Gothic festival that I really want to go to. Of course, all of the like really good ones are in Europe, although I did just learn about, what is it, Dark Side of the Con? I did not know this existed until this year. I know it's the 3rd annual one, but I had no idea. I hadn't heard about it till this year, but yeah, so Mariluna and Weva Gothic Treffen are the two that I would really like to go to. They just usually have a lot of really good music, and there's a lot of people there, and everybody's really friendly from what I can tell. So I really would love to go. For X, I picked Extra, and not with Extra. But yeah, I picked this just because a lot of the goths I know like to be extra with like their wardrobe, and extra, well, mainly with wardrobe. Sometimes with their like house decoration stuff too, but definitely when they're dressing up to go out, there's a lot of like theatrics. I don't know, it makes me feel good too. When I go out, I really like to be extra and get like extra dressed up. Most of the time, of course, I'm lazy and I don't get dressed up like right now. But yeah, when I'm going out, I really like to be extra. Why? Yourself. I think that it's important to be yourself. Like I said in the non-conformity, it's just really important to be true to yourself, and I think that's like a huge part of the Gothic subculture. Why so many of us like have flocked to this subculture is just because we are being ourselves, and there's just enough of us who love these darkly inclined things that it just so happened that we morphed into the subculture. I picked zealous. I know it's just a regular word. A lot of these that I picked are just regular words, but to expand on that, why I think it relates to goth is just because myself and a lot of other Gothic people are really zealous about important things like equality for all humans and all other earthlings, animal rights, human rights, just like environmental protection and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of us are really into that, and I think that kind of stems back from punk, because punk has always been that way to me, and like the pure form of like anarchy, if we could ever get to that point, would be like so cool. It'll probably never happen because humans are greedy and selfish, but ideally I think anarchy would be cool if it could work, but like I said, I don't think it ever would work. But yeah, anyways. But yeah, so I just think goths have a lot of zeal and for things that are important and awesome. And yeah, so that's my Goth ABCs. If you'd like to do this my Gothic ABCs tag, definitely do that. And if you do, like, tag me or link the video to me, send it in a message. I'd really love to see your response. So if you use the tag in the description, I use the tag. And then, yeah, if you tag your video, I will definitely check it out. Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing to my channel. Check out more videos, like, comment, whatever. And if you have any questions, definitely leave a comment down below or send me a message. And you can check out all my other social media. It's linked down below. And yeah, till next time, guys.